Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are diving into a topic which doesn't get talked about nearly enough, dyscalculia. It's a learning difference that can make working with numbers really challenging, regardless of other skills and abilities. So we will explore what dyscalculia is, how it's identified, the ways it can affect people, what's going on in the brain, and most importantly, some helpful strategies, including apps that can help to make maths more manageable. So firstly, what is dyscalculia? Well, as I just mentioned, dyscalculia is a specific learning difficulty that makes it harder to understand and work with numbers. And it's important to clear a few things up straight away. So it's not linked to intelligence, it's not the result of poor teaching, and it's not caused by vision or hearing problems. It's estimated that dyscalculia affects between 4 and 6% of the population, so that's roughly 1 in every 20 people. So chances are you will know someone who has it. Next, how is it defined? Well, many people struggle with maths, but that doesn't mean that all of them have dyscalculia. So when a professional diagnoses dyscalculia, they look for a few key signs. So a clear gap between a person's math skills and their abilities in other areas, the severity of the difficulties, and whether those difficulties persist over time. So it's not just about not being good at maths, it's a consistent and significant challenge. Next, what does dyscalculia affect? Well, it's thought to affect several areas or components of mathematical thinking. So first, number sense, which is the intuitive feel for numbers and their size. Then symbolic number processing, so things like connecting the symbol 7 with the quantity it represents. Then we've got visual or spatial and visual processing, which could be things like distinguishing between numbers like 14 and 41, imagining how a shape might move or change, following instructions, keeping numbers in mind, or interpreting number lines and graphs. Then procedural skills, so that could be following steps in calculations like long division or borrowing and carrying, and then memory retrieval, so quickly recalling facts like multiplication tables. And each person's experience can be different, so some may struggle with one of these areas and others may struggle with several. Next, let's talk about what brain science tells us about dyscalculia. So developmental dyscalculia is linked to differences in how the brain processes numbers. And most research points to a part of the brain called the intraparietal sulcus. As you can see on this diagram, it's a groove that runs across the top middle part of your brain in the parietal lobe. It helps with understanding numbers, space, and attention, and it's found on both sides of the brain. Many people with developmental dyscalculia show differences in how this area works or is structured, but not everybody does. Sometimes other parts of the brain, especially the prefrontal cortex, which is at the front of the brain and helps with memory, attention, and problem solving, becomes more active. So this might be the brain's way of working harder to make up for difficulties in the intraparietal sulcus. Because the brain can adapt, some people with dyscalculia develop new ways of processing maths using different brain pathways. And this might explain why studies don't always find the same brain differences in everyone with dyscalculia. There's also a lot of co-occurrence with dyscalculia and other learning challenges like dyslexia and ADHD, and that can make it harder to understand exactly what's going on in the brain. There are also differences in how studies are done, so the type of brain scans that are used or the tasks people perform, and this can lead to mixed results. But still, the intraparietal sulcus and the prefrontal cortex are two key areas that researchers focus on when studying how dyscalculia affects the brain. The next part of the video will focus on support and strategies that can help, starting with checklists, screeners and assessments. So first, there are a couple of free resources I want to recommend. The National Numeracy Challenge offers a free online challenge designed to help adults assess and improve their numeracy skills. Then Steve Chin, who is an expert in learning difficulties, created a checklist to help spot signs of dyscalculia, which highlights challenges like counting, number sense and basic calculations. It was really designed to help parents and teachers identify kids who need extra support, but most of the areas are also relevant to adults, and some of the classroom-based tasks could be reinterpreted into real-life situations. Next, let's talk about screeners. These help you identify the risk of dyscalculia and profile your maths difficulties, which can help you learn more about yourself, your strengths and challenges. They may also refer you on for a formal diagnostic assessment. You do have to pay for these, and it seems to vary from around £50 to £300. I'm just going to mention organisations that offer screeners for both children and adults. So this includes the Dyslexia Association and Dyslexia UK. Dynamo also do a range of screeners for dyscalculia, and they are really clear about their evidence base and how they've been developed with specialists and educational psychologists, which is great. Then finally, diagnostic assessments. These give a formal diagnosis that can be used for workplace adjustments or applying for disabled students allowance. So firstly, if you or your child are in an educational institution, speak to them first. A school SENCO may be able to refer you to a specialist, and university disability services sometimes have their own in-house specialists or assessors. Apprenticeship training providers should also be able to offer support and guidance. Outside these institutions, educational psychologists and specialist centres provide assessments which use standardised tests. The British Dyslexia Association also offers them, and you could look at the Dyscalculia network. Aside from having lots of useful information and resources, they will show you private assessors and tutors available in your area. Next, let's look at some learning strategies for maths. When it comes to supporting dyscalculia, start with the concrete pictorial abstract approach. I talk about this in my first ever video, and it's the approach I use in my tutorials. The pictorial and abstract stages in particular can bridge the gap between seeing a visual representation of a problem and confidently handling the numbers and symbols on their own. The next one kind of follows on from this, but use visuals like diagrams, place value charts, dots, bar models, and flowcharts to make ideas clear. Then build number sense with games. They make practice less intimidating and more memorable. I'll make some suggestions for this a little bit later. Bring in manipulatives and real life scenarios so that abstract ideas actually mean something in the real world. Break tasks into smaller steps so nothing feels too overwhelming. Go multisensory, visualize the problem, talk it through, or even act it out. And collaborate with others. Try and explain your thinking, can help it to click. And finally, take a moment to reflect. Think about how you solved a problem, and this can help deepen understanding for the next time. So the next thing I want to do is recommend some free apps that could help. And the first one we'll look at is Mathletico. So when you open them up, you can see all these tabs for different skills relating to number work, algebra, shape, probability. It's got everything in there. Ratios, time, percentages, money. When you click in each one, it might split it up into different subtopics and levels. But the best thing about this is that it's got functional skills, so you can look through. So this one is stamp duty. It just links all these areas of maths to real life scenarios where you would actually use them. So we've got different bus and train travel, even a TfL special one, food nutrition like the traffic light labels, medicine, money. There are so many different things on there to try. And the last thing that's on there, we've got some games which you can try. So this one is just, you have to start with a number, and then it gives you kind of different operations, and you have to see if you can get to the right number at the end. So I would definitely recommend this app. There's so much in it, so download it and give it a go. The next app is the White Rose 1 Minute Maths app, which again has some really cool math skills, including subitizing, which is being able to judge amounts and spot patterns quickly. These kind of activities help you to repeat important skills until they become more automatic. It's a simple, accessible way to strengthen the foundations that many adults with dyscalculia find challenging. And one thing that's great with this app is that it gives you sort of visual representations as well as the symbolic calculations as well. So that can really help sort of bridging the pictorial and the abstract stages we mentioned earlier. The last app we'll look at today is Khan Academy, which I'm sure will be familiar with lots of people. This is especially useful if you are studying a formal qualification like GCSE or functional maths. It breaks down every skill you might possibly need with a short video, and the videos are great because they use kind of visuals and diagrams as much as possible just to help add some extra structure to your learning. So here we've got multiplication on a number line. So the last video was kind of looking at different arrays of numbers. This one is thinking of multiplication on a number line, counting up in twos. So it's just different ways of representing the same problem, which means you're more likely to find something that suits you. So would absolutely recommend Khan Academy as well. So I know I said that was the last one, but I almost forgot Dyscalculator, which is an app designed specially for people with dyscalculia. It's available for both iPhone and Android devices, and there's a free web app version as well. It helps by showing numbers in different ways, as digits in words and with pictures. You can choose the format that makes sense to you and personalize it. You can also type in a calculation and see it broken down step by step, which reduces the mental load. I will link a video here which explains more about the features, just in case you are interested. So that brings us to the end of this video. I have put almost all the information from the video into a poster, which has got lots of links you can click on. It will open up other resources or further videos just to offer a bit more explanation. I'll link this poster in the description box, so you are very welcome to download that if you would like to. I really hope that this video has been useful in some way. Please give it a thumbs up if it has, and remember to subscribe to my channel to get updates on new videos. And I will look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks and bye.